Welcome, everyone. We're reading Parashat Eqev from Deuteronomy 7 through 11. This is how you can annotate on the screen or raise your hand to read. Who would like to read first? Eileen, do you want to read first?
Yes.
All right. It's all yours. Go ahead.
Okay. Vehi ha Eqev
V'haya Eqev.
או והיה עקב את שהם יהיו הן
Tishma'un.
תשמעון את ה... לא,
המשפטים.
המשפטים האלה וסיימרו אתם
ושמרתם.
והשעיתם
And split it up into three smaller components. Va'asitem. Va'asitem. אותם.
ואישם
ושמר.
ושמר
ושמר, that's right.
יהיה והיא על העיקר לך
אדוני אלוהיך לך.
אדוני אלוהיך לך את
הברית, את הברית.
הברית. ואת עושה.
No, the vowel's on the bottom. Ha-chesed.
Oh, ha-esed.
There it is. Ha-chesed.
Ha-esed. אשר השבעי
נשבע. אשר נשבע.
אשר נשבע. על ואתך.
Split it up. La'avotecha.
La'avotecha.
La'avotecha. Correct. Good. All right, let's, I think I got to the wrong one. Let me read through, follow along if you all would like to. V'haya ekev tishme'un et hamishpatim ha'ele ושמרתם ועשיתם אותם ושמר אדוני אלוהיך לך את הברית ואת החסד אשר נשבע la'avotecha. What is the cha suffix?
You. Your.
Your.
Yeah. Something belongs to you. It's yours. It's your God. It's to you. It's your father's. What is the verbal suffix that means you all? The katal verbal suffix that means you all are the subject.
Ooh.
That would be they.
Okay. Chem.
Chem.
Chem means it belongs to you all. What's the verbal suffix?
Hachem.
What suffix tells you that you all are the subject of the verb?
Tem.
Chem means it belongs to you all.
No, tem.
Tem. There it is. So tem, you all are the subject of the verb, and tem, you all are the subject of the verb. And you all shall keep, and you all shall do. All right. What would the verb look like in the yiktol if you all are the subject? What prefix and suffix should there be?
He.
There should be a tav at the front and an oo at the end. This particular verb looks a little odd with a spare noon at the end. We'll give it a fancy name, noon paragogicum, and move on with our lives, assuming that it means nothing extra. Maybe originally it did, maybe originally it didn't. We get to see this noon in Aramaic in the normal yiktol form, and Hebrew ultimately lost it. So maybe we're looking at a more original version of a 2MP you all yiktol verb with a special noon at the end. All right. What verbal form are these verbs?
Is it
Vekatal.
Vekatal?
Vekatal, which means
Future.
Complete.
Future completed.
Vekatal is going to have the katal suffixes, but it's going to be incompleted, usually some sort of future tense. That's right. And what binyan is this verb?
Nifo.
What does nifal usually tell us? What does it usually mean?
Passive.
Usually passive. Usually passive or possibly reflexive. Very good. What's the root of hamishpatim?
Shafat.
Shafat, which means
Judge.
Judge.
good. It means to judge, but originally it probably means something like decide. But you'll see it being used sometimes in one way and sometimes in another way. But yeah, a shofet is a judge. Mishpatim are judgments. Shafat, he judged. Absolutely. Good. Any comments or questions on this slide before we move on?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, what's your question?
The one for the previous slide, which did you say was a nifal?
This verb here at the bottom, the second to last one.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. I didn't see that. Yes.
Are you up to read next?
Yes.
Okay, well, this one's all yours. Go right ahead.
Okay. I'll try. Vaya Debeka Ub Kaka Vehir Beka rock, pear, neka, u, fair, taka,
Mm-hmm.
dega, neka, ve, ti, roshak, roshka,
Mm-hmm.
ve, zeha, reka, gar, ala, fair, ka, ve, ter, shet, tort,
Mm-hmm.
I think. Shetort.
I bet when I read that, you'll recognize it immediately. Go ahead and keep going.
Okay. Zorneka, Au, Rama.
That's a dalit.
Oh, that's the dollar.
Adama. Mm-hmm.
Adama. Asher, Nish, Baz, La, Vor, Teka, Latet, and then it's Lock.
Right. Lach. Very good. Excellent. Well done. I'll read through one time. Va'ahevcha uverachecha v'hirbecha uverach pri bitnecha ufri admatecha degancha v'tiroshecha v'yitzharecha shgar alafecha v'ashtarot tzonecha al ha'adama asher nishba la'avotecha latet lach. All right, questions on pronunciation.
The one that I stumbled over, you said I'm not sure which word that was. Which do you remember?
This one right here.
Which one? I don't see it.
I've put it
Oh,
in
that
green.
one. How did you pronounce it?
Yeah, ve'ashtarot.
Va'ash so say that again.
Ve'ashtarot.
Oh,
Ve'ashtarot.
Ra'ash Torot.
Anybody know what ashtara or ashtarot, what that means? No?
And the flocks.
Well, that's what it has written there, of course. Does
Isn't
anyone
it-
recognize this word?
Is
Isn't
that
it
like a
10th?
start day?
Mm-hmm. What were you going to say, Jesse?
I said, isn't it a 10th?
A tenth?
Yeah.
I guess that would be a sur would be a tenth, like a tithe.
Mm.
So it would be a seen instead of a sheen. Who is Ashtoreth?
Mhm.
She's a goddess.
Goddess.
So I wonder if there is a connection between flocks and this goddess Ashtoreth. I don't know. You can see how it's being translated here.
Mhm.
It doesn't really make sense to talk about a false god next to Tzoncha or Tzonecha, but that's how it's translated anyhow.
Maybe it's the kind of god that she is supposed to be. That's related
Well, she's
to.
supposed to be the goddess of fertility, and you want your sheep to be fertile or whatever.
Fertile.
So you can conjure up a connection here. But yeah, I'm sure if we did a little research, maybe we'd find that connection. All right. Any other questions about pronunciation? Let's see. Here we've got tons of cha suffixes. What is cha again?
Your or
Your.
you.
Your.
Belonging to you, a man. So yours, or it can show up on a verb, but I don't see any showing up on a verb here. What's the root of this word here? Alafecha.
Ella.
Aleph.
Elef. What does elef mean?
Thousand.
Oxen.
It could also be related to strong or chief or what do they call it? Chieftain, maybe. I think the chieftains of Esau are also called alafim. But yeah, we get to see that elef has to do with ox, bull, strong, and by extension, it becomes the number for 1,000. What is grape juice in Hebrew?
Yain.
No, that's wine.
Oh, true. Well, that is grape juice.
Meats is
Meat, okay, there is the
Often.
word meats, which is juice. Very good. If you buy grape juice in Israel, you're going to buy tirosh, which is the grape juice before it becomes wine. But you can see this right here that they translated as wine or new wine. Degane boker is grains of the morning or cereal. There's the word degan. And let's see. Adam, shtarot. Did we miss anything? There's that nishba nifal verb again. What's the root of latet?
Natan.
Nun tet.
Um,
Natan.
Not
Natan.
tet, tav, natan.
Tav.
Right, natan, he gave. Latet, we have two missing nuns because nun is a weak letter, and at the end of a syllable, nuns go missing. So here all we have is one tav root letter. All right, comments. Oh, how about this? What is the root of va'ahevcha?
Have.
Aha.
Yeah, that's the easy answer. The root is ahav. Now, for the hard question, why is there a tzere?
Stative. Let's get that wrong. No.
I think it's right.
Oh my gosh, I got it right off the.
I think that av was originally a stative verb, and then later on it
Just
shifted
gonna
over
retire
to
for the evening.
Quit while I'm ahead. Yeah,
Yay.
exactly. That's exactly what it is. The tzere there, because evidently the action of loving wasn't necessarily something you're physically doing at the time, but rather something that is stative. I am in the state of loving some. To us, it really doesn't make sense in English, but you see that tzere. Well, what else can it be? So evidently, being in a certain state or condition was what the verb ahav belonged to initially. It's interesting. All right. Any other questions before we go to the next reader? Oh, this one's too small. I can't give this to one of you all. It's so tiny. Jesse, I'll let you read two. This one and
Okay.
the next. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Baruch Tihyeh Michol Ha'amim Mikol Ha'amim Lo Yihyeh Vecha Akar Va'akara Uviv Hem Techa.
Excellent. Very good reading. Baruch tihyeh mikol ha'amim lo yihyeh v'cha akar va'akara uvivhemtecha. All right, I want to start easy before we get into the hard stuff. What is the root of these two words? That's easy.
Oh, yeah.
Hiya. Well,
Kaya.
hey yod yod. Exactly. Hey yod yod. Here we get a yod yiktol prefix. Here we get a tav yiktol prefix. What is the root of ha'amim?
Goyim.
People.
What are the root letters of ha'amim?
Ami.
It's
Aleph,
ein
mem,
mem mem.
Oh, ein.
Ein mem mem.
It's an ein.
The strong, exactly. The strong dagesh here tells us that the second and third root letters are the same. The root is ein mem mem, and then im makes it plural. Ha means the peoples. Mi kol ha'amim. Mi is
From?
the mi prefix is from.
Min.
Kol is all or each. Ha'amim, the peoples. Of or from all the peoples. Baruch tiyeh, blessed you shall be, me from all of the peoples. What? Is this, how is this mem being used? I don't think from is the best translation. How about when you're making a comparison, Hebrew uses the mem, right? Me compared to, blessed you shall be compared to all of the peoples.
How about
Right.
out of all of the peoples? And mean would work, right?
Let's see. Out of. Well, it would mean, okay. In that sense, it would mean that Israel was taken out of from among the other peoples, though.
Mm-hmm.
But in Hebrew, if you want to make a comparison, you use min or me. I am taller than he. I am tall from him. Lo yeh v'cha, not it will be or there will be, v'cha in cha.
You.
You, of course. In you, among you, akar v'akara. Are these the same words? Just one is masculine and one is feminine?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So akara is a barren female. So an akar is a, I guess, sterile male. Uvivhemtecha. What's the root of uvivhemtecha?
Behemah.
Very good.
Behima.
Yeah. So we have an u and b in among, cha yours, and feminine tav. There's your root right there, as in behema, animal.
Behima.
Is
And
behemah feminine for baham, or is behemah?
I'm not sure if there is a word without a feminine ending. I only know it as behema.
Mhm.
That's a great question. I have no idea what the root baham even means.
Is it a masculine or feminine word? Behemah, is that feminine?
Yes, absolutely. Behema is feminine because of the accented kamatse, and here because of the feminine tav, the original feminine tav.
Okay.
Behema used to be behema, but we're lazy, so we left off the t. But here it is, the original.
Great.
All right. Any other questions? All right, Jesse, you get this one too, because the last one was itty bitty.
Okay. Vehesir Adonai Mimcha Kol Hili
Mm-mm.
Vecho Holi Holi Vechol Madve Mitzrayim Haraim Asher Yadata Lo Yismam Bach Untanan Bechol shonecha.
What's that last word?
Oh, sonecha.
Sonecha. Sonecha. Audible shva.
Sonecha.
How do I know
Mhm.
that's an audible shva?
That closes a syllable.
Mhm.
The opposite. Silent shvas close a syllable.
Oh.
So, but how do I know the syllable ends here instead of ending here? That's the heart of the question. How could I possibly know that this noon and its shva start the next syllable? You look at the length
vowel?
of the vowel. You look at the length of the vowel. And holam is a long vowel. In unstressed syllables, holam has to be in an open syllable. Any long vowel in an unstressed syllable is supposed to be in an open syllable. So ne'echa. So ne'echa. See, there's another long vowel in an open syllable. There's another long vowel in an open syllable. And there's another long vowel in an open syllable in unstressed syllables. When it comes to stressed syllables, like this one over here, like this one over here, in stressed syllables, that rule goes out the window. They're under stress. They can do what they want. Just like this, I would argue that we are looking at a short vowel segol in a closed syllable with a consonantal yod. And there are plenty of Hebrew teachers that will disagree with me, and they're welcome to. They would say, no, segol yod is a vowel. Okay, that's fine. Let's see. Here we have a short vowel in an open syllable. Is that allowed?
No.
Only if it's stressed, and it is. See the little thing over the resh? Mitzrayim. Here, let me read through it one time and follow along, please. Vehesir Adonai mimcha kol choli v'chol madvei Mitzrayim hara'im asher yadata lo yesimam bach untanam b'chol son'echa. How do I know this is an audible shva here?
Because it closes a syllable.
That's what you said last time.
And it's still not right.
How could you reformulate your answer to make it
Because
correct?
of the vowel, the long vowel sound.
So short answer, it opens a syllable, right? Audible shva opens a syllable. But then the question becomes, well, how do I know it opens a syllable? That, my friends, is the preceding vowel. Is it long or is it short? And this one is long. All your long vowels in this reading chart show up first in each of the categories. So those are all your long vowels, the green ones that I've circled. And then after that come your short vowels, like patach, segol, chirik. That right there is a kamatz katan, short O, and kibutz. And then you get your little reduced ones that we care very little about. No, that's not true. We care a little bit about them. Reduced patach, reduced segol. I would argue this is a reduced chirik. And again, people would argue with me, and that's fine. And reduced holam. Why do I think that's a reduced chirik? Because it behaves in the same way that the other reduced vowels do, except with an I flavored vowel. But enough of that. In what binyan does this verb belong to? Vehesir.
Hefil?
It does have a hey at the front. Hefil is correct. The chirik yod, the hey and the chirik yod tell us that it is hefil. Uh-oh, we only have 2 letters left. What's the root?
Samek and Resh.
Good, but there's something in the middle. A missing weak letter.
Yod?
It's actually a vav.
A vav.
It's actually a vav. Sur is to turn aside. So in the he feel, it means cause to turn aside. That is to take something away. He will take away. Why is it and he will take away rather than and he took away? How do we know that it's like future tense? Besides the fact that the translation says so.
Is it a
Mm.
vegetal?
Because it's a
Vegetal.
vegetal.
That's right. The vav at the front flips the tense. And he will take away, that is, the Lord will, mimcha, from you, kol choli. Does anyone know what a hospital is called in Hebrew?
Bet
Cholim.
cholim.
That's right. Bet hacholim. Bet hacholim. And so cholim is the word that means sick ones. Choli is the noun. Is that a segelet?
Mm.
Oh.
What's a segelet?
The 3 little dots in the bottom.
Okay, right. Okay. So a segol is the 3 little dots. Like melech has 2 segols. But the word segelet means something a little bit different. A segelet is a noun that has only, well, I don't know if I can put it that way. Yeah, I guess I can. A noun with only 3 letters. Well, no, sometimes it has 2. It's supposed to have 3 letters. How do I say this? It has stress. It has penultimate stress. It has stress on the first root letter.
Oh.
Okay. So melech is definitely a segelet. But what about Baal? Is that a segelet? Yeah. It should have been Baal, but that's really hard to say because Ain prefers A sound, so we get Baal instead of Baal. What about Holy? Well, this is the same kind of O flavored segelet as Kodesh. It's just that the Yod prefers the Chirik sound, and Sheen, not really caring, gets a standard segol. See, you expect there to be segols unless something else is happening. Gutturals prefer ah sounds. Yods prefer e sounds. How about this word right here? What is this word?
Bechi.
Bechi.
Cry.
What does it mean?
Cry.
Weeping.
Cry?
It's a noun. Is it a segelet?
Must be if you show.
It has to be. It's the same kind of a segelet. Well, how do I say this? It has a yod at the end, just like holy did. So it prefers a chirik here instead of a segol. Instead of being bechei, it's easier to say bechi. Can you think of any other words that end in a yod? Pri, yofi. See, yofi is also a segelet. Yafe is beautiful. Yofi is beauty. Just like holy. V'chol madvei. That's supposed to be a silent shva. Madvei Mitzrayim, the diseases of Egypt. Hara'im, the bad ones. Asher yadata, that you know or that you have known. Yes. Lo yisimam. What's the root of yisimam?
Shin. Mem.
Does it have a suffix on it?
Yeah, it does.
That means them. So that means we're left with the word yasim, but the kamat's dropped to a shva because the stress was too far away. So yasim becomes yasimam. So yod yiktol prefix letter with a chirik yod right there. What binyan is this? Yasim. If this verb up here was would have been in the yiktol, it would be yasir. Does that look the same? Yasir as yasim.
Tifo.
Yes,
So it is a he feel.
it's a he feel.
And what root is it from? If this is samech vav resh, then this one must be.
Samech vav.
Resh.
Oh, wait a second. There is no samech vav, sin vav mem. Wait a second. Is this a hollow verb in kal binyan?
Some.
Here, let me show you a similar verb. How about yashir? Is this he feel?
Yeah.
That one's not he feel.
Oh, it's not. It's
Yasim is not he feel. I said it was earlier. My apologies. Yasim is not he feel. But Yasir is he feel. What gives? Don't they look the same?
A little bit, but there's a
No.
difference. There's no shin.
No. The only well, okay. Sure. Let me think of a different one. Maybe I can't. No, I can't think of one. Sorry. So the shin is the sin and the shin is not the. Oh, did I put the dot on the wrong side? Why didn't somebody say so? Let's put that on the correct side. There we go. So that's a sin, that's a shin, that's a samech. They all have the same kind of shisa sound, whatever. They have the same pattern. They all have a missing second root letter. Well, excuse me, a weak second root letter. But these over here are kal binyan. This one over here is hifil binyan. The root of these is with a yod. And the root of this one is with a vav.
Hmm.
Let me give you another example. Oh, I did think of one. Ha ha ha. As soon as I it's funny how that works. Okay. How about this one? Yashiv. And by comparison, I'll put over here Yashuv.
Yashuv.
What is Yashuv?
He will return.
He will
He
return.
will return.
That's a kal verb from the root shin vav bet. What is
Yashuv means
Yashiv?
return.
Yashiv means
It's to return someone or to
exactly to cause something to return. That is to transitively return something to somebody. So this is if Johnny goes back home, he will yashuv. He will return. But if Johnny's going to return his belongings back to, I don't know, his mom, he will yashiv those belongings. Okay, one of them is intransitive, and one of them is transitive. So this is an English thing, right? Transitive versus intransitive. But a he feel is necessarily transitive. You're causing something to happen. What you'll notice is that if a root shows up in both the kal and the hefil, and it has a weak second root letter, then the vav shows up in the kal and it gets lost in the hefil where a yod is expected. On the other hand, if there's a root that does not show up in hefil, its root will have a yod in it. So let's take a step back here for a second. Is the root of sim, sin, yod, mem? Yes and no. Originally, it was probably sin, vav, mem. There are places in the Bible where sum is used instead of sim. But it looks like in Hebrew, if there's a hollow root that does not go into hefil, it got changed to yod.
Huh.
How about shir? Is there ever a word where shir has a vav in it? Well, yeah, like a mishorer is a temple singer, but its root is shin yod resh. All right, so the big picture here is that Hebrew's super complicated, right? You can have two words that look like they have the exact same pattern. One is a kal from a root with a yod, the other is a hefil from a root with a missing vav. All right, everyone thoroughly confused?
Can you make can you say lehashir to make someone sing? Or is that not a word? To cause someone to sing? Lehashir.
It's not coming to mind. I don't think shir ever shows up in the hefil, but I can't say definitively that it doesn't. If we want to find out whether shir ever shows up in the hefil, we would look up, let's see, do I have to include the dot? Maybe. Shir, and with an at symbol, we're looking for a verb in, I guess that doesn't matter. Oh, binyan, hefil. Let me just leave it like that and see what happens. Oh, I'm looking in the wrong one. It's going to be this one over here. All right, just to make sure, I'm going to delete that. Okay, so shir shows up in 79 verses in the Bible. Here it shows up in kal binyan. Right. All right, so how do I know what I guess hefil is going to be H, and it doesn't show up anywhere. So I guess I'm going to say no. Cause someone to sing is not in the hefil in the Bible that I know of.
You'd have to use another word. Like
Right, like gorem mishu lashir. Gorem or garam is to cause somebody to do something. It's a good question. I don't think so. I don't think it exists in the hefil. You could ask somebody to sing, but I don't know how to make somebody sing. All right, who's my next reader?
I'll try if nobody else wants to. Oh,
Yeah, go ahead, Cheryl.
Okay. Sorry, Jesse. ואכלת את כל העמים אשר אדוני אלוהיך נותן לך. לא תכס עיניך עליהם, ולא תעבוד את אלוהיהם, כי מוקש הוא לך.
Very good. ואכלת את כל העמים אשר אדוני אלוהיך נותן לך. לא תחוס עינך עליהם, ולא תעבוד את אלוהיהם, Ki mokesh hu lach. Lach. What suffix does this lach have on it?
It looks feminine, but it's pausal, so it can sometimes it could be masculine, but it looks feminine.
Mm-hmm. Right. It does look feminine, but it is pausal. It is masculine. How do we know it's masculine? Well, because we've got a ta suffix, which is you masculine, and we've got a tav prefix, which is you masculine. We also have cha in the non-pausal words. So it's speaking to you. It has to be. So lach is the pausal masculine form, whereas cha is the usual suffix we expect. There's another one up there. Those are usual, those are pausal, and those prove that we're speaking to you. Oh, there's another one right here. Did I miss any? I think that's everything. Looks like a mess now. All right, what is the root of tachos?
Horse. You've evolved in it.
I didn't understand. What's the root?
Ha
Mm-hmm.
and samak with
Okay.
evolved in the center.
Correct. Very good. Yeah, we just saw how yashuv, or if we put it in second person, tashuv, was shin vav bet. This one is similar, right?
Mhm.
Right?
Yes, I think.
So why does this get an oo vowel and that gets an o vowel? You might need to double check this one. Let's have a look. What verse are we in? Is anyone following along? It's Deuteronomy 7. What is it, about 15? I was off by one.
Is it an infinitive or something?
An infinitive. If it's an infinitive, it wouldn't have a yiktol prefix.
True. I don't know.
All right, so here you go. There's a chet, there's a vav, there's a samach. According to this, you're absolutely right. The root is chet vav samach, but that still leaves us a question. Why does this have an o vowel instead of an u vowel like yashuv?
Is it because of the participle or? And
Well, let's see. According to this, it's a kal imperfect, third feminine singular, apocapated.
And
Apocapated. What does apocapated mean? That little word right there, or big word actually. Apocapated.
sounds like a heart condition, but
Yeah, seriously, right?
go for that.
Let's get the defibrillator before this tachos loses it. The word apocapated means that the verb is somehow shortened. And in general, apocapated forms are going to lose their mater lectionis. Can you think of any other apocapated verbs? Yiven. That's an apocapated verb. It's missing a mater lectionis. It should be yivne. Apocapated means it lost something. It's shortened. So yivne becomes yiven. How about yashkim? Has a yod in it. The apocapated form would not. It would become yashkem. It's shortened somehow. Okay, brilliant. So what does apocryphated, how does apocryphated change the meaning of the word? Usually the apocryphated form will be used for volative
Stats.
forms,
Mine. Dad had the bigger one.
I'm
Mine
like,
was
why-
the small-
or it'll either have a volative form or it's going to be like a vayiktol. Vayiktols like to be shortened as well. And okay, so what is it going to be here? Well, we do see a low in front of it, but that's not really a volative form. So this is really kind of confusing. I would translate this as something like, you shall not want to have pity. If it's got a volative sense to it, maybe. I don't know. Don't. Oh, wait. Is this you masculine? I think I was wrong about this earlier. Is this you masculine singular? Where's your subject? We know that tav at the front can mean you masculine singular, but it can also be 3fs she. Encha, masculine or feminine?
Masculine.
Oh,
Ayin?
eyes are feminine.
Eyes come in pairs. Body
Yeah.
parts that come in pairs are feminine. So this is an irregular feminine. Now, don't misunderstand me. The cha at the end, which refers to you, sure, that's masculine singular. But it's your ayin, and ayin is feminine. So the tav we're looking at here is 3fs. I think earlier I said it was 2ms. Sorry, that's not right. 3fs. Let's see. Mokesh. That's probably going to have the root vav kuf shin. And the mem at the front turns it into a noun. Let's see, like a moshav, perhaps.
Why
Okay.
would a feminine word have a masculine prefix?
Prefix?
Why would a feminine word have that?
Do you mean? I'm sorry. Do you actually mean suffix? Why would a feminine word
Suffix?
have
Yeah,
a
I'm sorry, suffix.
Okay. All right. So a noun has gender. Every noun has a gender, and there are certain things that I own that have a feminine gender, and there are certain things I own that have a masculine gender, right? Like a
Yes.
table is masculine, love is feminine, whatever it is. But
Mhm.
if I say that it belongs to me, or if I say it belongs to
Oh, I
you
see
or
what you're
him,
saying.
that's why it's masculine. So we've
Okay.
got a feminine word, ayin, with a masculine suffix, belongs to you.
Oh, okay.
So we have to be very careful to split those up, especially when it comes to first person, second person, third person. Otherwise, we'll have some really funny translations. Keep the person, gender, number of the noun separate from its suffix. So here, for example, we've got Elohecha, the noun. What's the person, gender, number of Elohim? It's a trick question, I admit, because it looks plural, but it's treated like a singular. But okay, let's just go with, all right, it looks like a third masculine plural, but it's treated like a third masculine singular. And we could have a whole discussion about the fact that Elohim is plural, but it's actually singular, but it's actually plural, but it's actually singular. But cha in the end is 2ms. Are there any others? How about this one? Well, same thing. Elohim. So Elohehem is still third, we'll just call it masculine singular, and it has a suffix that is third masculine plural. Theirs is the gods or the god. Oh, but if it's theirs, so that means that one is actually treated as plural because this refers to all those false gods out there. See how context makes a difference. Elohim singular, God of Israel, Elohim, plural, all those other gods. Same word. Context is so very important. All right, comments or questions on here before we go on to the next verse? Uh-oh, there we go. Who is my next reader?
I would like to read.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay. Ki Tomar Bil Va Ka
Mhm.
Rav Ben Hagar Hag Varim Ha El Ha Ale
Mhm.
Mimani Eka Al Ukal Le Hori Misham.
Very good. Ki tomar bilvavcha rabim hagoyim haele mimeni echa uchal lehorisham. Looks like we have some doozies in here. Tomar comes from what root?
Amar.
Amar. Why is it a doozy? Why is it a strange or irregular verb?
The top in the beginning.
No, the tav is expected. If you are the subject, tav is expected. But that holam right there is different.
Ah,
In Aramaic, it puts a tzere under there. In Hebrew, it puts a holam there. So it's something unique to Hebrew to put a holam right there. How many verbs are there that behave this way? Only about 6.
very few.
Yeah, only about 6 of them. What 6 can you all remember? Amar is definitely one of them.
Mm,
Lechol.
Achal is another one.
mm,
Avad,
Avad.
to perish. Avad. Achaz.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah, achaz, which means to
Take.
seize,
Oh,
grasp.
seize.
Mhm.
Seize.
How about afa?
Mm,
Afa is to bake. He baked, like baking bread.
Oh, okay.
Pretty sure there's one more I'm missing.
Mm,
Oh, ahav comes to it ultimately becomes a member of this group, even though there are places in the Bible where it doesn't belong to this group, and later on it does. In modern Hebrew, it does. Okay, if he will love, you would say yohav, but originally it should have been something like yehav. So this one's a weirdo. Love is strange. What can I say? Bilvavcha, the root is levav, heart. Rabim, what's the root of rabim?
Rav.
That's a tough question. We see the doubling dagesh right there. So we don't know whether this is resh bet bet or resh bet yod. It's probably resh bet yod, rabim. This is where we get words like rav or rabbi or what is it? Liharbot. What's the verb leharbot?
Do not.
It's to cause something to be rabah, abundant. So this would be making someone or something abundant. Leharbot. Let's see. Hagoyim ha'ele mimeni echa uchal. Here's the next strange weirdo. Uchal. What's the root?
Who?
Yachal.
Aleph Kaf Lamed.
Yod Kaf Lamed. Originally it was a Vav Kaf Lamed, and that's why it's showing up here. What's the Aleph at the front?
No, that's Yiktal.
Yiktol. I will be able. Uchal. So what's so strange about this verb? It looks pretty normal, except for the fact that the Yod reverted back to a Vav. Well, I guess maybe not that much. It does have a patach right there. What does patach tell us when it has a patach in the yiktol? Christina or Christine?
Oh,
How is it? That
Dative.
Stative.
That's dative. Oh, man.
Stative.
I
There it
missed
is.
the moment.
Okay, what is this? What does this verb look like in the katal form? Instead of the yiktol, what does it look like in the katal form? How would you say I was able instead of I will be able?
He.
Yachol. Or was? Yachol.
Yacholti.
Yacholti. Now what's strange about it? It's not yachalti, it's yacholti.
Oh,
That cholam right
Yachol.
there is weird. It looks like katonti. So this is a stative verb with an O flavored vowel, and there are not many of them. Yagolti is another one. Nobody even knows what that means. So I can only think of 3 of them off the top of my head. There's a fourth one that's irregular. It's boshti, but it's irregular because it has a vav in the middle. Boshti. I was ashamed.
I'm ashamed. 'Cause I
Mhm.
didn't remember.
Boshti. So off the top of my head, I can only think of 4 verbs that have this O vowel in it. It's not very common, but this verb right here, yachol, is probably the most common of them. So it's a good one to know. What can you tell me about this last word here? Does it have some prefixes or suffixes we can slice away from it?
Yeah.
Yes. Lamed can go.
Lamed can go.
Lamed.
That's a preposition, prefixed preposition.
The mem at the end.
The mem with the kamats can go because that's a pronoun suffix, a pronominal suffix.
Suffix.
It says them. All right. So what are we left with?
This is a he.
Horish. Yes, exactly. It's he feel. We can tell from the hey and from the chirik yod that it's he feel. So what's the root?
Rush.
Oh, gosh.
Uvish.
All right. So here it shows up as a vav because it's original. But if we look it up in a dictionary, it'll be under yod resh shin yarash.
Oh,
To possess or inherit something. So if you cause someone else to possess, it means necessarily that someone is gaining possession and someone is losing possession. So you'll see this translated alternatively as to cause to inherit or to dispossess. Same word. It's like one of those weird English words like to dust. You can either dust your windowsill or you can dust your cake. One of them means to remove dust. The other one means to add dust.
One is delicious and the other is not.
One sounds delicious, the other one does not. All right, next reader, who wants to read?
I can read.
All right, go ahead.
Lo tira mechem zakor tis. What is it? Tiskor?
Yeah, that's a cholam next to a revia.
Et asher asa Adonai Elohecha lefar o ul ulkal ukol Mitzrayim.
Very good. Lo tira mehem zachor tizkor et asher asa Adonai Elohecha לפרעה ולכל מצרים. Good. לא תירא, this is a relatively normal verb that has a yod at the front. What do we call the category of verbs that have an initial or first root letter of yod?
Yods.
Pei yod.
Yod.
Pei yod. What does the pei mean?
It's the first position.
Good. We're using an arbitrary root pa'al, which corresponds to the first, second, and third root letters. So if I say pei yod, it means that yod is the first root letter. If I say ayin vav, it means vav is the second root letter. If I say lamed yod, that means the third root letter is a yod. Why use pei ayin lamed? Why use this arbitrary root? Tradition. In Arabic grammar, pa'al means verb, action, initiate, do, active. And a po'al in Hebrew is a verb. So Arabic grammar started using pei ayin lamed as the arbitrary root to use, but there's a big fat problem with this root. What's wrong with this root?
Well, those letters that disappear and you've got a weak letter in the middle of it.
Okay, I wouldn't call it a weak letter, but it is a problematic letter. Weak letters have to disappear at some point. And I don't think these disappear, but that ein in the middle is a guttural, and gutturals tend to affect the surrounding vowels. What about pay? Is there anything wrong with pay? Sometimes.
It's
Say again?
pay.
Yes, sometimes it's pay, sometimes it's face, sometimes it has a weak dagesh, sometimes it doesn't. So between missing root letters like yod and vav and nun, and between gutturals that change the vowels, ayin and sometimes resh, and between begad kefat letters, if we are looking for an arbitrary root that has none of these, you know how many there actually are? I don't, but there aren't many. The only one that I can think of is kuf tet lamed. And that's what Hebrew uses as the arbitrary root letter outside of verbs. For verbs, sorry, the tradition is just still too strong. We still use pei ayin lamed, especially when we name the verbal binyanim, like pa'al or nif'al or hif'il. It still uses pei ayin lamed. Tradition. Until we can turn the ship around, we're going to continue to use this, even though it's imperfect. It has a begad kefat pei, and it has an ayin that messes things up. Like when we learn about PL verbs, right? We say, well, PL, it has a hirik there, a tzere there, and a dagesh right there. But ayin doesn't take a dagesh. So, but just pretend it's there. Here, I'll put it in there, even though it shouldn't be there. It's like, why don't we just use this? Ki tel. That'd be a lot easier.
Because it means to kill. Is that why?
Katal means he killed. The verb kitel in the PL binyan doesn't exist.
Hmm.
I'm not even sure that any of the other binyanim for this root exist. But the point is, it's an arbitrary root letter. It's an arbitrary root, excuse me, not letter, root that we can just use for anything. And that's why it's used in when it comes to adjectives and nouns, like a miktal. That's a root. That's a noun pattern.
Mhm.
Or how about a key? Well, can we say? Yeah, I guess we could. A kitul pattern or a katal pattern, right? We use kuf, tet, lamed. But when it comes to verbs, we're still stuck in our traditions, pei, ein, lamed. So we're going to call this root a pei yod because the first root letter is a yod. And why do we care about the first root letter being yod? Why is that important? How come we don't call this a pei zayin? Or call this one an ein sin? Why would we single out pei yod as important? Why is it important?
Because it assimilates. It can assimilate.
It's because verbs that have a yod as the first root letter, they all tend to have the same problems. And those yods will sometimes either go missing or they'll revert to an original vav. The point is they have a consistent problem. Pei zayin, there's nothing wrong with pei zayins. That's why it's not a thing. Ein sin, no biggie, no problem. But what irregular root letter does this root have?
A guttural.
It does have a guttural at the front, but gutturals typically don't cause us problems unless there is a shva that's supposed to fall on them. And that rarely well, I shouldn't say it like that.
First
Yes,
lamed
you're correct that gutturals at the beginning do cause vowel changes, but the ein is still there. What letter goes missing in this root?
Yod.
Mm-hmm. In fact, it's gone missing here. There was supposed to be a yod at the end. So how are we going to label roots that have a third root letter yod that sometimes goes missing?
Wow.
Lamed, yod.
Oh,
Lamed is the third root letter, or that's the designation for the third root letter, and that third root letter is a yod. So we're going to call it lamed yod, and all lamed yod verbs have certain consistent irregularities. How about God's name? Is that a lamed yod root?
no.
Yeah, it sure is.
Ladonai.
Kamatse.
Ah,
They're both lamed yods. The root of God's name is Hey Vav Yod, but unfortunately, over time, it turned into Hey Yod Yod. If I want to say I was, it would be Haiti. Haiti. In this word, you can see the Hey Yod Yod, but if you go back to Aramaic, the Vav is preserved. Hey Vav Yod.
Mm.
So here you see the older form, the older root of God's name, Hey Vav Yod, preserved in his name, except it's a Lamed Yod, the third root letter went missing. So God's name means he will be, or he is being. Or he was continuously being. I'm not going to get on that tangent. All right. What kind of a word is this? What form is it?
Is that an infinitive?
imperative.
Actually, Christine had it. What is it?
Infinitive.
Infinitive. Uh-oh. It's a kal infinitive. Absolute or construct? Infinitive.
Absolute.
Absolutely. Absolute forms have the A-O. What if we had a tav missing? What kind of an infinitive would that be? Zchor.
That'd be a construct.
That'd be an infinitive construct. Or an imperative because it looks the same. In fact, that's how we make the imperative. We take the yiktol, lop off the tav, and what we're left with is the imperative. So zchor means remember. Here it means something pretty much the same, but it's future tense. Certainly you will remember. Don't be afraid of them. Certainly you shall remember what the Lord your God did or has done to Pharaoh, ulechol Mitzrayim, and to all of Egypt. The next verse is very long. Who wants to read this? Jesse?
Sure.
All right, go ahead.
Hamasot Hagdolot Asher Ra'u Enecha Vecha Otot Vechamoftim Vechayad Hachazaka Vehazroa Hantuya Asher Hotziacha Adonai Elohecha Ken Yaaseh Adonai Elohecha Lechol Ha'amim Asher Ata Yari.
Yareh. There's a tzere. It's hard to see.
Oh, sorry. Yareh Mipnehem.
Excellent. What gender is the? Oh, I should probably read it first. Hamasot hagdolot asher ra'u enecha vehaotot vehamoftim vehayad hachazaka vehazroa hanetuya asher hotziacha Adonai Elohecha ken ya'aseh Adonai Elohecha lechol ha'amim asher ata yareh mipnehem. What gender is ayin?
Feminine.
Feminine.
What gender is yad?
Masculine.
Do you have one hand or two?
I have two.
Feminine.
Sorry.
What gender is
Everything that has
zra?
pairs.
Feminine.
Yeah.
With the exception of breasts, ironically. Those are
That is
masculine.
ironic.
But everything else, if you have two of them, it is feminine. So zoa is
Feminine.
feminine as well. What is a zaroa?
A limb.
Right.
Lamb.
It's probably like the entire arm, whereas yad is usually the forearm and hand. So you can see here that both of these have a feminine kamatse ending adjective to let you know that they are feminine. The adjective never lies, right?
True.
Let's see. Hamasot hagdolot. What gender is hamasot?
Feminine.
Yeah, because hagdolot is feminine. Very good. מופתים אשר צריכה. אלוהיך כן יעשה אלוהיך רמים. Ooh. Yareh. Why is there a tzere in the word yareh?
State of being.
State of being. What form is this verb?
Is it an infinitive? No, I don't know.
It's not an
It's like one of those.
Okay, what's the root?
It's
Yeah.
Yod.
It's easy. It's easy. It's yod
Yod.
resh aleph.
Yes.
The word to fear comes from the root Yod Resh Aleph. It was an original Vav, and we know that because if you see it in Nifal, it shows up as Norah. Okay, so there did used to be a Vav here. It's a Pei Yod root, or if you want to call it an original Pei Vav root. But here the Yod shows up because it's at the beginning of the word. Vavs at the beginning of words, almost all of them disappeared in Hebrew. They all changed over to a Yod, with rare exception. So here we have Yod Resh Aleph. A is the vowel pattern. A. What other words have A?
Ev.
I'm Tzameh. Now I'm not Tzameh anymore.
Thirsty?
Ra'ev is another one. Ra'ev. Okay, well, that still doesn't answer the question. We found other words that have the same pattern, but what form is it? It's not a katal. If it were a katal, there should be a ta at the end of it, and there isn't. And it's not a yiktol, because if it were a yiktol, it would have a tav at the front.
Some kind of weird participle.
Participle. That's right. It's a participle. Ata ra'e, you are afraid. Ata tzameh, you are thirsty. Ata ra'ev, you are hungry. Ata ayef. Ata
Tired.
ayef, you are tired. Ata karev,
Close.
you are close. Ata maleh,
Full.
you are full.
Full.
Ata chaser. Ata chaser,
Missing.
You're empty?
you are lacking. Uh-huh.
Save. Save. And full.
That's right, savea. It would have to be savea. Sova, savea is with a sin. Yes. Savea. Here you get a furtive patach because of the ayin, but that's just a pronunciation thing. Gutturals mess up vowels. It's still a savea. You are satisfied, satiated, full. Here's a question. Some Israelis don't get this. Ata godel or ata gadel? Which one is right?
Good.
God,
Good.
Gadel.
Yeah, but they
What
would say
it's-
go down. They would say
Oh,
go.
there. Oh, yeah. Most Israelis would say ata godel kol kach. No, ata gadel, gadel. If it were feminine, what if it's at? At godelet or at gdela?
Gedela.
Gatela.
What do Israelis say? Godelet.
Gotel.
Godelet. But what is it supposed to be? Gdela. How do we know
Gatela.
this is stative?
Gat.
What clues us into it being stative? How about the infinitive? How do you say to be great?
Ategola.
League.
Do.
Ola.
Is it?
Do.
Okay. You know what? Let me back up. You're right. Ligdol is correct. What about in the yiktol form? How would we say he is great?
Yigdal.
That's it. Yigdal. Instead of yigdol, it's yigdal. That tells us it is stative. And so in the participle and in the katal, Both of those forms should have a tzere right here. Gadel, gdela, gdelim, gdelot. Very good. All right. What is the root of hanetuya?
Nata.
Tom?
Nito.
It's okay. So nata is the
Oh,
verb.
nata.
Mm.
Nata.
It's nun tet
Lintoa.
yod.
Nate.
Nata, which means to lean or incline or decline or am I saying that right? Nata, nata. No, it's well, I mean, it says to stretch. No, this is the one that's used for pitching a tent, isn't it? Stretching out or pitching out, throwing out a tent, pitching it. Anyway, to stretch out. Nata, nun, tet, yod. What am I thinking? Ta'ut. Ta'ut. Oh, I'm thinking of a different one. I'm thinking of nata. Nata is to,
To
oh
plant?
gosh.
Or is that a
Yeah.
different one? To plant?
I think so.
Lintoa.
Yeah, lintoa.
Natua from the song.
Yeah. All right. Last one. What is the root of hotziacha?
Yod. Sare. Aleph.
Yatsa. Very good.
Yatsa.
Here the yod turned back into the original vav. Yatsa. The hey tells us that it is
Kefil.
feel causative. So cause to go out. This says he caused to go out. Cha, you. He brought you out. Who did? The Lord did. Elohecha. All right. We are, I think we're out of time. And thank you all so much for coming. If anybody wants to help support Hungry for Hebrew, here's how you do it. Next, let's see, are we going to be meeting next week? That's going to be the day after Yom Kippur. I'm not sure. I'm going to go ahead and say yes, but hey, if you have plans, if I have plans, then maybe I won't show up, but I'll update you in the group. Thank you all so much for coming. I hope you learned something. Look forward to seeing you. Lehitraot v'shalom.
Lehitrot shalom. Toda.
Shalom.
Shalom. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom. When is the next lesson? My mind went somewhere else for a second there.
We might have some next week.
It depends on what I have planned. I don't know what my wife has planned for next week because it's the day after Yom Kippur. We're probably going to have a big get together to break the fast together. So I guess that shouldn't interfere with class. So let's go ahead and say yes. We'll meet next week.
Okay, thank you.
Sundays at 5:00 Eastern Standard Time. See you then. Bye.
Lehitrot, bye.
Thank you so much.